Thank you very much, Comrade Sison, that you have given very important speech that we could know about Afghanistan. Before I had heard in Afghanistan there are lots of leftist people. The movement were going very good. But nowadays, there is no any news about the movement of communists there. Although there are communists from Afghanistan, here we have also people, friends, communists from Afghanistan. But as US imperialists and other imperialist colonies are now capturing Afghanistan. They are now in Afghanistan, suppressing people of Afghanistan. There are voices from people, but the voices are only coming from Taliban, not from proletarian people. So my question is, if only Taliban raises the voices of people against US imperialists, so it cannot go very strongly, because Taliban are a kind of extremists. They don't raise the voices of the proletarian people, the poor people. They raise only the religious demands, the religious things. So how can the Afghanistan people make a strong, united voice? That's my question. Because in one hand, there are people raising voices for proletarian people, and other hand, the religious people, and these two things cannot go together. So to throw away, to raise, to kick out the imperialist people, all the suppressed people must be united, I think. Not only the Taliban, so also other suppressed people must be go together. Thank you. I think you understand my question, because my English is also not so good, but I have tried my best. Thank you very much.
I think the question should be best answered by the Afghans themselves, but from the outside, since I have because I have studied the Afghanistan history and situation a bit, I would say that the Taliban is some kind of a continuation of the sponsorship of Islamic fundamentalism by the US. So this Islamic fundamentalism produced eventually Al-Qaeda. Osama bin Laden was an agent of the US, and he was very important in the engineering works and also in making use of Saudi Arabia's support to oppose the Soviet Union. Islam is an important factor within Afghanistan. It has been used and misused. No? So I would like to cite the example of Indonesia. After the Dutch suppressed the uprising in 1926, the Communist Party availed of the Islamic Federation, Syarikat Islam. And you see the Quran can yield a lot of good passages with good social content. And it's possible for communists to make use of those verses from the Quran. Well, later on, maybe there will be a divide between the red and the green, Islamists. But for a while you are fighting an enemy that is using religion, you see, modern imperialism avails of the most reactionary ideas. And so it avails of Islam and tries to drum up its most bigoted aspect in order to create artificially a mass base in support of imperialism. Now, so I said in my statement, there is a need for a united front. And you know, united front means several forms of alliances. Of course, the most important is the alliance between the working class and the peasantry. And then you can build a united front, an alliance of progressive forces that would include the toiling masses and the petty bourgeois. And then when you deal with the reactionaries, I think you have to take into account also certain differences of ethnic communities within a nation. There can be nationality, there can be a majority and minority nationalities. And somehow you have to take into account, like religion, you have to take into account, especially when you want to create the broadest front possible, especially in localities. Sometimes the religious factor and the national factor are intertwined. Now, it requires Marxist expertise to be able to avail of those forces and prevent the enemy from using such factors. Marxism, Leninism, Maoism is such an integrative ideology that you can have a command of various forces down to, you know, local communities and even family units. Don't concede to the conservatives the factor of mastering the relations of families, tribes, nations, and so on. So, but of course, a people's army is needed. If I remember right from Afghan comrades, they tried to make use of the disturbed conditions. And they also made use of some united front work. So they could they used the green communist tactics for a while. But the key point in united front work is to develop your own strength. And developing your own strength means following the class line and digging roots in particular localities. You know, Islam is a widespread religious factor, but in particular areas, the red readers of the Quran can have initiative. The important thing is to have free independence in initiative when you deal with reactionary forces. Sometimes it's possible to draw strength from the contradictions of the reactionaries. You can have temporary and stable alliances, then you get some certain resources. Or you simply benefit from the fight of the tigers, the reactionary tigers. But make sure all the time that you have your own strength. Some friends in Iran say, oh, the Filipinos, because they are well experienced, they know how to handle the Muslims. No, I think the Filipino communists cannot claim to any special excellence. It's a question of line. You see, if you know, there are certain factors which run away as reactionary factors if you let them. For instance, patriotism, national consciousness. If you leave that to the rightists, then they will use it against you in the form of fascism. And if you let Islam completely do the reactionaries, then it will come against you as Islamic fundamentalism. In the Philippines, we have organizations, the Catholicism is the dominant church. No? So the National Democratic Front has its Christians for National Liberation Front. Then you also have Islamic organizations for national self-determination, like Moro National Liberation Front. Its founders were very close to us. We trained them in the youth organization, but then they got hooked to financial support from Saudi Arabia and Libya. No? So at first they'd say Bangsa, Moro nationalism. They wanted to combine three things like Sukarno, combining three things. They said Bangsa, Moro nationalism, Islam, and Marxism. They eventually dropped Marxism when they became afraid of their supporters like Saudi Arabia, also Pakistan, and Libya. So, but anyway, exercising independence and initiative, the Communist Party has promoted the formation of the Moro Revolutionary Organization, or it's now called the Moro Revolutionary MRLO, no? The Moro Revolutionary Liberation Organization. So now party is of course the most important factor. It's the most decisive. A party must set the line. It is the one handling the weapons of People's Army and the United Front. You can have some setbacks in the People's War sometimes, but so long as your line is correct, you can grow always from small, from nothing in fact, or small, you can grow to big, and from weak to strong. By the way, I stress this point about independence and initiative because I became aware of the fact that 30 leaders of the Communist Party, of the Maoist Communist Party, 30 leaders and commanders were in a single plane, and that plane became sabotage and it dropped. So you always have a good resumption or a good beginning once more when you face such disasters. Now Afghanistan is ever ripe for a revolution led by the Maoists, and I refer to the Chinese experience. The Chinese Communist Party became strong precisely because of a tangled warfare. Remember the stage of the Chinese Revolution when the northern warlords, when Yuan Shikai took advantage of the 1911 revolution, declared himself an emperor, and then followed the tangled warfare of the northern warlords, and that would be further complicated by interventions of various imperialist powers. The idea can be drawn from there for reviving a strong revolutionary movement in Afghanistan. We who are outside of Afghanistan can only promise and act according to the promise of supporting the Afghan people and the revolutionary forces. But the Afghans themselves will have to do the basic fighting in order to liberate themselves nationally and socially. Yes.